Concrete bites into expensive fabric. The kind of concrete that costs taxpayers $60 per square foot to install. The kind that city councils brag about in budget meetings. Clean, modern, safe. Dr. Alaric Vaughn feels every grain of it pressing through his charcoal overcoat as Officer Brant Holloway's knee digs into his spine. I said don't move. Alaric doesn't. His palms stay flat against the sidewalk, fingers spread wide like he's measuring the distance between who he was 10 seconds ago and who he is now. A businessman. A PhD. A man worth $4.2 billion. Face down. In front of strangers. The flashing lights from the patrol SUV slice across Copper Square in rhythmic bursts. Red, blue, red, blue. A disco of humiliation. Phones lift from the growing crowd across the street. Dozens of them. Glowing rectangles pointed his direction like jury members taking notes. Wallet, Holloway barks. Alaric's voice comes out steady. Controlled. Inside coat. Left pocket. Holloway yanks it out with enough force that the leather catches on the lining. He flips it open. Ignores the executive security clearance badge clipped to the front. Ignores the embossed city contractor ID behind clear plastic. Pulls out the driver's license instead. Before we continue this wonderful story, click subscribe, like and comment where you're watching from. I would be glad to know this story goes as far as Canada, all of the United States of America, Australia, Africa, and even the United Kingdom. So let me know where you're listening from. Now let's get to where the story began. Silence stretches for 3 seconds. The younger officer, a kid who looks barely past academy graduation, leans closer to Holloway's shoulder. His nameplate reads Torres. Sergeant, that name. Holloway doesn't look up. Means nothing. But his hand hesitates over the radio clipped to his belt. Alaric can feel the shift. The micropause. The crack in certainty. From his position on the ground, he watches a woman across the street mouth something to her companion. The companion's eyes go wide. She pulls out her phone. Not to record. To text. Red Haven, Arizona doesn't get this kind of entertainment often. Low crime. Aggressive enforcement. Zero-tolerance policies printed on billboards like scripture. The statistics make the mayor look good. Make the police chief look efficient. Make residents feel like their property values are protected. But statistics don't account for moments like this. Holloway finally keys his radio. Dispatch, run a wants and warrants check. He reads the license number. Slow. Deliberate. The dispatcher's voice crackles back. Female. Professional. Stand by. Torres shifts his weight. Alaric can see the kid's boots from his peripheral vision. Standard issue. Polished, but not obsessively so. The leather creased at the toe from someone who walks a beat, who doesn't just sit in cars waiting for calls. Sergeant. Torres tries again, quieter this time. Maybe we should. Did I ask for your input, Torres? No, sir. Then secure the perimeter. Torres backs away. Alaric hears him murmuring to the crowd. Please step back. Give us space. Nobody moves. A man in a Suns jersey holds his phone higher. Y'all got the wrong guy. He was just walking. Holloway doesn't respond to that. He presses the knee deeper. Alaric's ribs compress. Not enough to injure. Just enough to remind him who holds authority on this sidewalk. The radio crackles again. Dispatch to Unit 12. No warrants. No priors. Record clean. Holloway frowns. Confirm ID? He asks. Confirmed. Dr. Alaric Jameson Vaughn. Age 41. Residence listed as. Holloway cuts the transmission. He stares at the license again. Then at the contractor badge. Then at the security clearance. His expression doesn't change. But something in his posture does. Across town, inside City Hall's third-floor executive wing, Mayor Diane Cartwright sits at her desk reviewing tomorrow's press schedule. 9 a.m. budget overview. 10:30, police modernization announcement. Noon, ribbon cutting at the new community center. Her phone buzzes. She ignores it. Buzzes again. She glances down. A text from Marcus Chun, political reporter for the Red Haven Tribune. Mayor, is this your new commissioner getting detained downtown? Attached is a link. She clicks it. The live stream loads. 43,000 viewers. The number climbs while she watches. 45,000. 48,000. The angle is shaky. Street level. But clear enough. A black man in a dark overcoat. Face down. Officer kneeling on his back. The comments section scrolls faster than she can read. Is that Commissioner Vaughn? New police chief already getting the Red Haven treatment. This city is done. Her assistant knocks. Doesn't wait for permission. Ma'am, you need to see. I'm seeing it. She's already dialing Deputy Mayor Corinne Ashford. 2 rings. I'm already in the car, Corinne says before Diane can speak. ETA 4 minutes. Back on Copper Square, Alaric counts his breaths. In for 4. Out for 4. A technique he learned during hostile takeover negotiations. When venture capitalists tried to lowball his first acquisition. When board members questioned his projections. When investors demanded he prove himself twice as hard because his resume didn't start with an Ivy League pedigree. He's used to being underestimated. But this is different. This is force without questions. Assumption without evidence. Power without accountability. Holloway finally stands. The pressure releases from Alaric's back. He doesn't move yet. Waits for permission. Get up. Alaric rises slowly. Brushes dust from his coat. His hands don't shake. His expression doesn't harden into anger. He simply looks at Holloway. Studies him the way he studies data sets. Patterns. Trends. Predictive models. Can I ask what the suspect description was? Alaric's voice stays even. Holloway crosses his arms. Black male. 6 feet. Dark clothing. That's half the city. That's the description we got. From who? Holloway's jaw tightens. Anonymous tip. The crowd is thicker now. 20 people. 30. Someone shouts. He wasn't doing anything. Torres looks nervous. His hand hovers near his radio like he's debating whether to call for backup. Alaric adjusts his cuffs. The motion is deliberate. Calm. He makes eye contact with the woman filming. Nods slightly. Acknowledging her. Thanking her without words. A black luxury sedan cuts across 2 lanes and screeches to a stop at the curb. Corinne Ashford steps out. Navy suit. Heels that click like gavels on pavement. She's a former federal prosecutor. The kind of lawyer who made defense attorneys reconsider their career choices. She doesn't raise her voice. Doesn't need to. Release him. Now. Holloway turns. Confusion flashes across his face. Ma'am, this is an active investigation. Of what? Corinne walks forward. Stops 3 feet from Holloway. What crime are you investigating? We received a report. An anonymous tip about a vague description that matches thousands of men in this city is not probable cause for detainment. She gestures to Alaric. Do you know who this is? Holloway glances at Torres. Then back at Corinne. A contractor, according to his ID. Try again. Silence. Corinne turns to Alaric. Dr. Vaughn, are you injured? No. Did you consent to this stop? I was ordered to the ground. She nods. Turns back to Holloway. Sergeant Holloway, meet Dr. Alaric Vaughn, your new police commissioner. The crowd erupts. Gasps. Shouts. The woman filming stumbles backward like she's been pushed. Her phone almost slips from her hand, but she catches it. Tilts it higher. Zooms in on Holloway's face. Torres goes pale. Holloway's mouth opens. Closes. Opens again. Commissioner. Alaric doesn't answer. The livestream viewer count hits 90,000. What happens when the man you just humiliated becomes your boss in 12 hours? The video spreads like wildfire in dry season. 90,000 viewers becomes 120,000 in the time it takes Holloway to process what Corinne just said. Comments flood in faster than the platform can display them. News aggregators pick up the stream. Twitter explodes. Reddit threads multiply. Red Haven's police department doesn't have a social media crisis protocol. They've never needed one. Low crime. Quiet streets. The kind of city where the biggest scandal last year was a council member's nephew getting a DUI. This is different. This is national. Inside the patrol SUV, the dashboard computer chimes. Incoming message from dispatch. Then another. Then 5 more in rapid succession. The radio crackles with cross-chatter from other units asking for confirmation. Unit 12, what's your status? 12, do you need backup? Sergeant Holloway, respond. Holloway stares at the radio like it might bite him. Torres reaches for it. Holloway snaps, don't. Across the street, the crowd has doubled. A teenager with a ring light is doing live commentary. An older man wearing a Vietnam veteran cap shakes his head slowly, arms crossed. A group of college students film from multiple angles like they're shooting a documentary. Corinne checks her phone. The mayor is calling. She sends it to voicemail. Dials someone else instead. Legal? I need the commissioner's contract pulled. Specifically Clause 14. Send it to my phone in the next 2 minutes. She hangs up. Alaric still hasn't moved. He stands with his hands loose at his sides. Not aggressive. Not defensive. Just present. Watching. The same way he watched algorithm outputs during product demos. The same way he analyzed market fluctuations before major investments. This is data. Human behavior under pressure. And he's collecting every variable. Holloway's radio crackles again. This time it's a different voice. Deeper. Authority coded into every syllable. Unit 12, this is Lieutenant Gaines. Return to station immediately. Holloway keys the mic, sir. We're still on scene. That's an order, Sergeant. Leave Deputy Mayor Ashford to handle the situation. Static hiss. Holloway looks at Torres. Torres looks at the ground. Copy that, Holloway mutters. He turns to leave. Stops. Turns back to Alaric. For a moment, it seems like he might apologize. His mouth works around unspoken words. But pride is a heavy anchor. It keeps certain sentences submerged. He walks to the SUV instead. Torres hesitates. Dr. Vaughn. He trails off. Shakes his head. Follows Holloway. The engine starts. Lights still flashing. They pull away slowly. Not fleeing, but definitely retreating. The crowd watches them go. Someone starts clapping. Slow at first. Then others join. It builds into applause mixed with jeers. Alaric raises a hand. The noise stops. This isn't a victory, he says. His voice carries without shouting. This is a symptom. People lean closer. How many stops tonight happened exactly like this one? How many didn't have cameras? How many didn't have a deputy mayor to intervene? Silence. A woman near the front, older, church hat pinned to silver curls, nods slowly. Truth. Corinne's phone buzzes. She glances at the screen. The contract clause is loaded. She reads it. Closes her eyes briefly. Opens them. We need to go, she tells Alaric. He nods. Looks at the crowd one more time. Tomorrow morning. 9 a.m. City Hall. Press conference. If you want answers, be there. The teenager with the ring light yells, will you fire him? Alaric doesn't answer. He walks to Corinne's sedan. She opens the back door. They slide inside. The driver pulls away without a word. 3 blocks later, Corinne breaks the silence. The video hit 200,000 views. Alaric watches streetlights pass. How long until cable news picks it up? They already have. CNN just posted a clip. MSNBC is running a cheer-in about police accountability reforms. Fox. Defending Holloway. Calling it a routine stop gone viral. Alaric almost smiles. Almost. Predictable. Corinne taps her phone screen. Pulls up the contract. Clause 14 gives you unilateral authority over personnel decisions during your first 90 days. Council approval required after that. I remember. You could fire him tonight. I could. But you won't. Not yet. She studies his profile. Why? Because firing him makes me feel better. Retraining him makes the department better. The union won't see it that way. The union doesn't dictate reform. Corinne leans back. You understand they're going to fight you on everything now. Every policy change. Every oversight measure. They'll frame you as an outsider who doesn't understand street-level policing. They're right. I don't understand street-level policing. That's why I'm bringing in people who do. People who also understand constitutional rights and de-escalation and data-driven accountability. The car turns onto State Street. City Hall looms ahead. Lights still on in the upper floors. Emergency meetings already convening. Corinne's phone rings. The mayor again. This time she answers. I'm with him now. Yes, he's fine. No injuries. We'll be there in 2 minutes. She hangs up. The mayor wants a strategy session. Tonight. Good. The police chief wants to be included. Also good. The union president is threatening a vote of no confidence before you're even sworn in. Alaric turns to look at her. What's his name? Derek Stanton. 23 years on the force. Represents 460 officers. Set up a meeting with him. Tomorrow afternoon. After the press conference. He won't agree to that. He will. Because if he doesn't, I'll release the body camera footage from tonight. Corinne blinks. There wasn't. Holloway's camera was on. Department policy requires activation during all citizen contacts. If it wasn't recording, that's a separate violation. If it was recording and he didn't verify my ID before forcing me down, that's excessive force with documentation. A slow smile spreads across Corinne's face. You've been planning this. I've been preparing for variables. This was always a possibility. The sedan pulls into City Hall's underground garage. Security waves them through. They park near the executive elevator. Corinne gathers her briefcase. The council is divided. 3 members want you gone before you start. 4 are reserving judgment. 2 are solidly in your corner. That's 9. There are 11 council members. 2 are out of town. Emergency family situations. Convenient timing, isn't it? They step into the elevator. Corinne presses the button for the 3rd floor. The doors close. How bad is the video? Alaric asks. Honestly, it's worse than I thought. The angle shows everything. Your compliance, his aggression, the crowd's reaction, and the audio picked up him calling you boy at one point. Alaric's jaw tightens. First real emotion he's shown since standing up from the concrete. I didn't hear that. You were focused on staying calm. The microphone wasn't. The elevator dings. Doors open. The 3rd floor hallway is chaos. Staffers rushing between offices. Phones ringing. Voices raised behind closed doors. Someone is crying in the break room. The mayor's office door opens. Diane Cartwright steps out. She's 56. Gray hair cut sharp. Pantsuit wrinkled from 12 hours of wear. She looks exhausted. She also looks furious. Not at Alaric. At the situation. Dr. Vaughn. She extends her hand. He shakes it. Firm grip. Brief. Professional. I apologize on behalf of this city. Apologies don't change systems, Mayor. Policies do. Agreed. Which is why we're going to draft new use of force guidelines tonight. She gestures toward her office. The chief is already inside. Legal is pulling every relevant statute. We have until morning to get ahead of this. They walk inside. Police Chief Raymond Booker sits in one of the chairs facing the mayor's desk. He's 62. White hair. Red face. He stands when Alaric enters, but doesn't offer his hand. Commissioner, he says. The title sounds like an accusation. Chief. They stare at each other. Measuring. Calculating. Diane closes the door. Gentlemen, we have 8 hours to prevent this city from becoming a national embarrassment. Suggestions? The chief speaks first. Suspend Holloway pending investigation. Issue a statement condemning his actions. Offer Dr. Vaughn a formal apology. That's damage control, Alaric says. Not reform. What would you suggest? Immediate audit of all use of force incidents in the past 12 months. Public release of body camera compliance rates. Civilian oversight board with subpoena power. Mandatory bias training for every officer. And Holloway doesn't get suspended. He gets reassigned to training evaluation. Chief Booker's face goes redder. You want to reward him? I want to use him. He represents a culture problem. Fire him and the culture stays. Retrain him publicly and you send a message that change is possible. The union will never accept that. The union doesn't have a choice. Clause 14. Corinne slides the contract across the desk. The mayor reads it. Looks up. This gives you unilateral personnel authority for 90 days. Correct. Chief Booker stands. Mayor, with respect, this is political suicide. The rank and file will revolt. Then let them, Alaric says quietly. Because in 90 days, When complaint rates drop and use of force incidents decline and federal grant money flows in, because we're meeting compliance standards, they'll understand why reform mattered more than pride. Silence fills the office. The mayor's phone buzzes. She glances at it. Her expression changes. The video just hit 500,000 views. Corinne checks her phone. CNN is running it as breaking news. They're calling it the Red Haven incident. Alaric moves to the window, looks down at the plaza below City Hall. A small group has gathered. Candles. Signs. One reads, "Accountability now." They're organizing, he says. "That's what concerns me," Chief Booker mutters. Alaric turns. "It shouldn't. Organized citizens are invested citizens. Invested citizens hold institutions accountable. Accountable institutions serve communities better." "You sound like a textbook." "I sound like someone who studied systemic failure for 2 decades and built a $4 billion company fixing it." The chief's phone rings. He looks at the caller ID. Frowns. Answers. "Booker." His expression goes from annoyed to alarmed in 3 seconds. "When? How many? Good Lord. Okay. Lock down the station. Nobody talks to press without clearance." He hangs up. "What?" the mayor asks. "Derek Stanton just called an emergency union meeting. Midnight. He's pushing for a vote of no confidence against Dr. Vaughn before tomorrow's announcement." Corinne stands. "He can't do that. Vaughn isn't officially commissioner until 9 a.m. He's arguing that the contract activation allows for preemptive action." Alaric checks his watch. 11:47 p.m. Where's the meeting? "Union Hall. Off 7th Street. I want to attend." Everyone stares at him. "That's insane," Chief Booker says. "That's strategic. They'll eat you alive. Only if I let them." The mayor stands. "Dr. Vaughn, I appreciate your confidence, but walking into a hostile union meeting 12 hours before your announcement is..." Her phone buzzes again. She reads the message. Her face goes pale. "What now?" Corinne asks. Diane turns her phone around. The screen shows a text from an unknown number. "You don't know how deep this goes." "Who sent that message?" The union hall smells like stale coffee and 30 years of grievances. Alaric walks through the front door at 11:58 p.m. No security. No backup. Just him and the weight of 460 officers staring like he's walked into the wrong funeral. The room goes quiet. Derek Stanton stands at the front near a podium. He's built like a fire hydrant. Stocky. Solid. The kind of guy who played linebacker in high school and never stopped talking about it. Salt and pepper hair, cut military short. Arms crossed over a Union polo shirt. He doesn't look surprised to see Alaric. He looks ready. "Dr. Vaughn," Stanton says. His voice carries without a microphone. "Didn't expect you to crash our meeting." Alaric stops in the center aisle. Faces turn to track him. Some hostile. Some curious. A few younger officers look uncomfortable. "I'm not crashing," Alaric says. "I'm here to listen." "To listen." Stanton repeats it like it's a punchline. A few officers chuckle. That's rich coming from a man who spent the last 3 hours planning how to gut this department. "I spent the last 3 hours planning how to modernize it." There's a difference. Modernize. Stanton steps out from behind the podium. Walks closer. Stops 10 feet away. "Let me tell you what modernize means to us. It means outsiders with degrees and no street experience telling us how to do our jobs. It means politicians using us as scapegoats when crime stats don't look pretty. It means some billionaire CEO swooping in to fix problems he doesn't understand." Murmurs of agreement ripple through the room. Alaric doesn't react. "Are you finished?" "Not even close." "Then continue." Stanton's eyes narrow. He wasn't expecting calm. "You don't belong here. You've never worn a badge. Never responded to a domestic violence call at 3 a.m. Never had to make a split-second decision while someone's reaching for their waistband." "You're right. I haven't." That throws Stanton off. Just slightly. "But I have studied officer-involved shootings across 43 states." Alaric continues. "I've analyzed use of force patterns in 68 cities. I've built predictive models that reduce officer injuries by 32% while simultaneously cutting excessive force complaints by 41%. So while I've never worn your badge, I've spent 20 years learning how to keep you safer while protecting the community you serve. Silence. An officer near the back, older guy with sergeant stripes, speaks up. Percentages don't stop bullets. No. Training does. De-escalation protocols do. Backup response time improvements do. All things my company provides, and all things Red Haven's current budget now covers thanks to federal grant compliance. Stanton jumps back in. Those grants come with strings. Federal oversight. Consent decrees waiting to happen. Those grants come with accountability standards that protect you from liability and the city from lawsuits. Last year, Red Haven settled 3 excessive force cases for a combined $1.2 million. That's money that could have gone to officer salaries, equipment upgrades, mental health resources. A younger officer near the middle row leans forward. He's got a point. Stanton shoots him a look. The officer goes quiet. Here's what's going to happen, Stanton says. We're going to take a vote tonight. Vote of no confidence in your appointment. We'll send it to the mayor and city council by morning. They'll have to choose between a 460-officer union and one outsider who got roughed up on camera. Is that what you think happened tonight? Alaric asks. I got roughed up. I think you got stopped by an officer doing his job based on a legitimate tip. A legitimate tip. Alaric pulls his phone from his pocket. Taps the screen. Dispatch logs show the anonymous tip came in at 8:37 p.m. Officer Holloway initiated the stop at 8:42. 5-minute response. Impressive. He swipes again. Except the tip described a suspect fleeing northbound on Copper. I was walking southbound. The tip mentioned a red jacket. I was wearing a charcoal overcoat. The tip claimed the suspect was carrying a duffel bag. I was empty-handed. He looks up. So either Officer Holloway can't tell north from south, can't distinguish red from gray, and hallucinates luggage, or he made assumptions based on something else entirely. The room shifts. Officers glance at each other. Stanton's jaw tightens. Where do you get dispatch logs? Public record request. Filed at 7 p.m. this evening. Fulfilled at 10:30. That's not possible. Processing takes 48 hours minimum. Unless you're a city contractor with executive clearance. Alaric slides the phone back into his pocket. Which brings me to why I'm really here. I'm not interested in punishing Officer Holloway. I'm interested in understanding why a decorated sergeant with 12 years of service would bypass basic verification protocols. He pauses. Because if it's a training gap, we fix training. If it's a policy ambiguity, we fix policy. If it's a cultural issue, we fix culture. But we can't fix anything if you block every reform out of loyalty to a broken system. An officer stands. Female. Patrol division insignia. What about loyalty to each other? Loyalty and accountability aren't enemies, Alaric says. The best teams I've ever worked with held each other to the highest standards because they understood that one person's mistake could bring everyone down. That's not betrayal. That's survival. Stanton steps closer. Close enough that Alaric can smell coffee on his breath. You think you can walk in here and quote leadership books at us? I think I can walk in here and offer you a choice. Resist change and watch federal oversight take that choice away. Or partner with me to shape reform that protects officers and communities. That's not a choice. That's a threat. That's reality. The video from tonight has 800,000 views and climbing. CNN is running segments. The DOJ is already monitoring the situation. You can either help me get ahead of this or watch it crush all of us. Stanton doesn't blink. We're taking the vote. Fine. You're staying? If you'll allow it. Stanton turns to the room. All in favor of Dr. Vaughn observing, raise your hand. Maybe 30 hands go up. Less than 10%. Stanton smiles. Looks like parliamentary procedure. A voice calls from the back. The older sergeant who spoke earlier stands. Union Bylaws Section 7, Subsection C. Any vote affecting department leadership requires a quorum of 75% membership present. We've got maybe 60% here. Stanton's smile fades. We can still hold a preliminary vote, which carries no binding weight. The sergeant walks down the aisle. I'm Sergeant Leon Pritchard. 26 years on the job. And I'm tired of watching this union protect bad behavior because we're too proud to admit when we're wrong. Murmurs. Louder this time. Some supportive, some angry. Pritchard stops next to Alaric. Doesn't look at him. Keeps his eyes on Stanton. That video tonight. That was embarrassing. Not because Dr. Vaughn is our new commissioner. Because Holloway violated every de-escalation guideline we're supposed to follow, and you know it. Leon, Stanton starts. I'm not finished. We're supposed to protect and serve. Tonight we humiliated and detained. And if we can't acknowledge that, we don't deserve the badge. Silence. Then an officer near the front stands. Then another. Then 5 more. They don't say anything. Just stand. Statement made. Stanton looks around the room. Calculating. He's losing control and knows it. Fine, he says. No vote tonight. But this isn't over, Dr. Vaughn. You want reform? You better be ready for a war. Alaric meets his eyes. I've been ready since I accepted the appointment. He turns. Walks back up the aisle toward the exit. Pritchard follows. Outside, the night air is cool. Desert chill settling in. Pritchard lights a cigarette. Offers the pack to Alaric. Don't smoke. Smart man. Pritchard takes a drag. That was either the bravest thing I've seen or the dumbest. Time will tell. Stanton's not bluffing. He'll fight you on everything. I know. So why take the job? Alaric looks back at the Union Hall. Shadows moving behind frosted windows. Because systems don't fix themselves. And someone has to be willing to stand in the fire long enough to reshape the metal. Pritchard nods slowly. Philosophical. Practical. A black sedan pulls up. Corinne in the back seat. She rolls down the window. We need to go? Now. Alaric turns to Pritchard. Tomorrow. After the press conference. I want to talk. Off the record. About what? Training gaps you've seen. Policy failures you've reported. Cultural issues you've kept quiet about because speaking up meant career suicide. Pritchard studies him. You're serious. Completely. You know talking to you will make me a target. I know. Which is why I'm asking instead of ordering. Pritchard flicks ash. 2 p.m. coffee shop on 9th. Public location. Neutral ground. Agreed. Alaric slides into the sedan. The door closes. They pull away. Corinne hands him her phone. You need to see this. The screen shows an email. Sent from an encrypted address. Timestamp 9 minutes ago. Subject line. Holloway isn't the problem. Body text. He's a symptom. The real issue goes deeper. Training Captain Marcus Webb has been systematically dismissing excessive force complaints for 4 years. 63 cases buried. Evidence deleted. Witnesses intimidated. Stanton knows. Chief Booker suspects. Nobody acts because Webb has files on everyone. Check Complaint Review Board records 2021 to 2024. Cross-reference with Webb's duty roster. The pattern will show you everything. This stops now or it never stops. No signature. Alaric reads it twice. Who sent this? We're tracing the IP. But whoever it is has serious access to internal systems. Torres, Alaric says. The young officer from tonight? He tried to warn Holloway twice. Looked uncomfortable the entire time. Classic whistleblower profile. If it is him, he's risking his career. Which means he values integrity more than safety. We need to find him before Webb does. The sedan turns on Estate Street. City Hall looming ahead. Still lit up. Staff working through the night. Alaric's phone buzzes. Unknown number. Text message. Nice speech at the Union Hall. But words don't stop bullets. Webb knows you're coming. He's already moving pieces. Check the evidence locker tomorrow. Complaint files are disappearing. How does someone inside the department know what Webb is doing? The evidence locker sits in the basement of Red Haven Police Headquarters. Concrete walls. Fluorescent lights. Chain link cages holding everything from seized weapons to archived case files. The air tastes like rust and old paper. Alaric walks through the main corridor at 6:43 a.m., too early for most officers. Late enough that night shift is heading home and day shift hasn't clocked in yet. Perfect timing. Corinne follows 3 steps behind. She carries a tablet and a court order signed by a district judge at 5:30 this morning. Emergency Review Authority. Broad language. Airtight legal standing. The evidence custodian is a civilian employee named Rita Ochoa. 58. 22 years managing this basement. She looks up from her crossword puzzle when they approach the wire cage that serves as her office. Help you. Dr. Alaric Vaughn. New police commissioner. This is Deputy Mayor Ashford. Rita sets down her pen. Doesn't stand. Commissioner doesn't start officially until 9. Corinne slides the court order through the gap in the cage. Judge Nakamura disagrees. Rita reads it. Her expression doesn't change, but her fingers tighten slightly on the paper. What are you looking for? Complaint Review Board records. 2021 through 2024. That's a lot of files. I have time. Rita stands slowly. Keys jingle on her belt. She unlocks the cage door. Gestures for them to follow. They walk deeper into the basement. Past rows of shelves holding evidence boxes. Past firearms secured behind additional caging. Past archived case files organized by year and case number. Rita stops at a section marked CRB complaints. The shelves are half empty. Alaric counts the remaining boxes. 14. Should be closer to 60 based on average complaint volume. Where are the rest? He asks. Transferred to digital storage. Budget cuts. Space limitations. When? Started last month. Who authorized the transfer? Rita hesitates. Training Captain Webb. He's the CRB liaison. Corinne and Alaric exchange looks. We need access to the digital files, Corinne says. That requires IT clearance. We have judicial authority. IT doesn't report to judges. They report to the chief. Alaric pulls out his phone. Dials. 2 rings. Chief Booker. It's Vaughn. I need emergency IT access for Complaint Review Board records. Silence on the other end. Then why? Because 46 boxes of physical evidence are missing from the locker, and I'm being told they're digitized, but I can't verify that without access. Missing or transferred. Unknown. Which is why I need access. More silence. I'll have someone meet you at IT in 20 minutes. 10. Dr. Vaughn. Chief, if those files are gone, we have a chain of custody problem that makes every complaint investigation over the past 4 years legally questionable. That's grounds for federal intervention. So either we figure out where they went in the next 10 minutes, or you can explain to the DOJ why evidence disappeared during a critical transition period. The chief exhales. 10 minutes. Alaric hangs up. Rita watches him. Something in her expression has shifted. Not quite respect. More like recognition. There's something you should know, she says quietly. I'm listening. Webb came down here 3 days ago. Spent 4 hours going through those boxes. Said he was conducting an audit. Did he remove anything? Not that I saw, but I was at lunch for an hour. Came back, and he was loading boxes onto a cart. How many boxes? 6. Maybe 7. Did you log the transfer? He said he'd handle the paperwork. Never came back with it. Corinne makes notes on her tablet. Do you remember which boxes? 2021 complaints. All of them. Alaric feels his pulse tick up. Just slightly. Why 2021 specifically? Don't know. But that was the year the department switched from paper complaint forms to digital intake. Transition year. Lots of duplicate records. Meaning if physical copies disappeared, digital copies might not exist. Rita nods. Alaric thanks her. They head back upstairs. The IT department occupies a converted conference room on the 2nd floor. 5 workstations. Server racks humming against the far wall. A whiteboard covered in network diagrams. A technician meets them at the door. Young. Mid-20s. Headphones around his neck. Name tag reads J. Wilson. Chief said you need database access. Complaint Review Board records. All years. Wilson sits at a workstation. Logs in. Pulls up the system. Password protected. I'll need authorization code. Corinne provides it. Wilson types. Waits. Frowns. That's weird. What? The 2021 folder is showing empty. Empty or deleted? Empty. Like it was never populated. Check the backup servers. Wilson switches screens. Types faster. Backup shows the same. Folder exists, but no files inside. When was the last backup? System runs automatic backups every night at 2 a.m. Pull the backup from 4 days ago, before Webb accessed the evidence locker. Wilson navigates through archived backups, pulls up the folder from 96 hours prior. Still empty. This doesn't make sense, Wilson says. If files were uploaded, there'd be metadata. Upload dates, file sizes, user logs. But there's nothing. Alaric leans closer. Can you check who has admin access to this folder? Wilson pulls up permissions. Training Captain Webb, Chief Booker, and that's it. Nobody else. What about deletion logs? Give me a second. Wilson opens another window, runs a query. Results populate the screen. His face goes pale. What? Corinne asks. There are deletion entries. 63 files. All deleted between January 10th and January 15th this year. Who authorized the deletions? Wilson points at the screen. User ID m.web. Silence fills the room. Alaric straightens. I need copies of those deletion logs. Timestamps. File names. Everything. I can generate a report, but it'll take a few minutes. Do it. Wilson starts typing. Corinne steps closer to Alaric. Lowers her voice. If Webb deleted complaint files, that's obstruction. Possible criminal charges. If we can prove it. The logs prove it. The logs prove someone using Webb's credentials deleted files. We need to establish intent and verify he wasn't following authorized protocols. What authorized protocol allows deleting complaint records? Exactly. Wilson's printer whirs to life. Pages start feeding out. 23 pages of deletion logs. Timestamps down to the second. File names showing complaint numbers and dates. Alaric scans the first page. Every deleted file corresponds to complaints filed in 2021. Excessive force allegations. Racial profiling claims. Harassment reports. 63 complaints. 0 resolved in favor of complainants. All dismissed by the review board. All signed off by training Captain Marcus Webb. This is a pattern, Corinne says. This is systematic corruption. Alaric pulls out his phone. Dials a number he memorized yesterday. Sergeant Pritchard. It's Vaughn. How fast can you get to City Hall? I'm off duty until noon. I need you now. And I need you to bring anyone you trust who's been afraid to speak up about training Captain Webb. Pause. That's a short list. How short? 3 people. Maybe 4. Bring them. Conference room B. 30 minutes. What's this about? Ending the silence. Alaric hangs up, turns to Wilson. I need you to secure these servers. Nobody accesses this database without written authorization from me or Deputy Mayor Ashford. Understood. Wilson nods. What if someone with admin privileges tries? Deny access. If they push, call me immediately. What if it's the chief? Especially if it's the chief. Wilson swallows. Okay. They leave IT. Walk toward the elevator. Corinne checks her watch. Press conference starts in 90 minutes. We're not doing a press conference. What? We're doing a public accountability forum. Live Q&A. No prepared statements. No vetted questions. Just transparency. That's insane. You'll be eaten alive. Or I'll prove that reform isn't about political theater. It's about truth. The elevator doors open. They step inside. You know Webb is going to hear about this, Corinne says. I'm counting on it. He'll lawyer up. Claim technical glitches. Blame IT incompetence. Let him. Because while he's building his defense, I'm building a case that doesn't need his cooperation. The elevator reaches the 3rd floor. Doors open. Mayor Cartwright is waiting in the hallway. She looks like she hasn't slept. Coffee cup in hand. Hair pulled back tight. We have a problem, she says. Another one? City Council just received a petition for 1,000 signatures, demanding your immediate removal as commissioner. Who organized it? Police union. They've been collecting signatures since midnight, door to door in pro-police neighborhoods. Alaric walks past her toward his temporary office. 4,000 sounds impressive until you remember this city has 112,000 residents. That's 3%. 3% that votes reliably. 3% that donates to campaigns. 3% that shows up to town halls and makes noise. He opens the office door. Then we give them something louder to talk about. Inside, his desk is already covered with files. Corinne must have had them delivered earlier. Complaint records, officer personnel files, training manuals, use of force statistics. The mayor follows him in. What are you planning? At 9 a.m., I'm going to stand in front of cameras and citizens and tell them exactly what I found in the evidence locker. Then I'm going to outline every reform I'm implementing effective immediately. Without council approval, Clause 14 gives me 90 days of unilateral authority. I'm using it. That clause was meant for emergency personnel decisions, not wholesale policy overhauls. This is an emergency. 63 complaints disappeared. Evidence was destroyed. A training captain systematically protected bad actors for 4 years. If that's not an emergency, what is? The mayor sets her coffee cup down. You're going to make a lot of enemies. I already have enemies. The difference is now they're visible. His phone buzzes. Text from unknown number. Webb just left headquarters, heading to his lawyer's office. You have maybe 2 hours before he files injunctions blocking your access to personnel records. Move faster. Alaric shows Corinne the message. That's our whistleblower again, she says. Whoever it is has real-time intelligence on Webb's movements, which means they're either inside the department or monitoring communications. Alaric's mind races. Pull Webb's phone records. Last 72 hours. Who he called. Who called him? Text message metadata. That requires a warrant. Get one. Emergency motion. Judge Nakamura already granted one this morning. She'll grant another. Corinne makes the call. The mayor watches all of this. You've been commissioner for less than 24 hours and you're already launching an investigation into a decorated captain. I've been commissioner for less than 24 hours and I've already found evidence of systematic evidence tampering. This isn't about Webb personally. It's about accountability. The union will frame it as a witch hunt. Let them. The data doesn't lie. Footsteps in the hallway. Sergeant Pritchard appears in the doorway. 3 other officers behind him. 2 men, 1 woman. All look nervous. Pritchard nods at Alaric. You wanted people who've seen Webb's operation up close. This is everyone willing to talk. Alaric gestures to the chairs. Have a seat. And thank you for coming. They sit slowly. The woman speaks first. If this gets out, we're done. Webb has protected friends in every division. Your names stay confidential unless you choose otherwise. I'm not interested in exposing you. I'm interested in stopping him. One of the men leans forward. How do we know you won't use our statements and then hang us out to dry when the union pushes back? You don't. You're taking a risk trusting me. But I'm taking a risk trusting you too. We're both betting on integrity over self-preservation. The officers exchange glances. Pritchard speaks. Tell him what you told me. The woman takes a breath. I filed a complaint in 2022. Witnessed excessive force during a traffic stop. Partner choked a suspect who was already cuffed. I reported it. Wrote it up. Submitted it to the review board. What happened? Webb called me into his office. Said I misunderstood what I saw. Said if I pushed the complaint, I'd be flagged as a problem officer. Unreliable testimony. Career ender. Did you withdraw the complaint? She nods. I was 3 years in. Student loans. Rent. I couldn't afford to lose my job. Do you remember the complaint number? 2022-087. Corinne searches the deletion logs. Finds it. Deleted January 12th. Same batch as the others. Alaric looks at the second officer. What about you? Similar story. 2021. Partner used racial slurs during an arrest. I documented it. Webb buried it. Told me if I wanted to advance, I'd learn when to look the other way. The third officer doesn't wait to be asked. Webb runs training sessions on de-escalation. Spends half the time teaching proper techniques. Spends the other half explaining how to justify force in reports so it sounds reasonable. He calls it narrative management. Alaric leans back. Do any of you have documentation? Emails. Text messages. Recordings. The woman pulls out her phone. I saved the email Webb sent after my complaint. Thought maybe someday it would matter. She hands it over. Alaric reads it. Professional language. Friendly tone. But the subtext is clear. Drop this or suffer consequences. Can I forward this to Deputy Mayor Ashford? Yes. He does. Corinne's phone buzzes with the message. She reads it. This is coercion. Textbook witness intimidation. It's also evidence. Pritchard stands. What happens now? Alaric checks his watch. 8:37 a.m. Now you go back to your regular shifts. Act normal. Tell no one about this meeting. In 48 hours, I'm going to need formal statements. Notarized. Submitted through proper channels. But until then, you're ghosts. They stand. File out quietly. Once they're gone, the mayor closes the door. You realize you're building a case that could destroy careers and trigger lawsuits that cost this city millions. I realize I'm building a case that could prevent future abuses and restore public trust. The lawsuits are a feature, not a bug. They prove we're serious. Corinne's phone rings. She answers. Listens. Her eyes widen. She hangs up. Judge Nakamura granted the warrant. Webb's phone records are being pulled now. We'll have them in 30 minutes. Good. There's more. The anonymous tipster? IT traced the encrypted email to an internal server. The message was sent from inside headquarters. Did they get an IP address? Yes. Workstation 7. Second floor. Alaric pulls up a department directory on his tablet. Searches workstation assignments. Workstation 7 is assigned to Officer Jamal Torres, the young officer from last night. Who is Officer Torres really protecting? Officer Jamal Torres sits in his apartment, staring at the phone in his hand. He should be sleeping. Night shift ended 4 hours ago. His body is exhausted, but his mind won't stop replaying last night. The look on Dr. Vaughn's face when Holloway forced him down. Calm. Too calm. Like he expected it. The way the crowd filmed everything. The way Corinne Ashford appeared like some kind of legal avenging angel. The way Holloway's expression drained when he learned who he'd just humiliated. Torres has been a cop for 2 years and 4 months. He joined because his father was a cop. His uncle was a cop. His older brother made detective last year in Phoenix. Law enforcement is family business. But somewhere between the academy and reality, the shine wore off. He's seen things. Not the dramatic stuff from movies. No shootouts. No car chases. Just small erosions. The way certain officers talk about neighborhoods they patrol. The way training scenarios emphasize control over communication. The way complaints disappear like they were never filed. Torres wanted to be one of the good ones. But good is complicated when everyone around you defines it differently. His phone buzzes. Text from Holloway. You available? Need to talk. Torres stares at it. He hasn't responded to Holloway since they left Copper Square. Hasn't been to the station. Called in sick for his shift tonight. He types, about what? Response comes fast. Not over text. Coffee shop on 9th. 20 minutes. Torres deletes his reply. Doesn't send anything. Another buzz. Different number. Unknown. Don't meet Holloway. He's being coached by Webb. They know you're the leak. Torres drops the phone. How could they know? He used encryption. Routed the emails through VPNs. Sent messages from workstations he wasn't assigned to. He's been careful, but apparently not careful enough. Another text. Same unknown number. Webb pulled security footage from the station. Saw you at Workstation 7 last night. You have maybe 6 hours before they file charges. Unauthorized access. Breach of protocol. Career over. Unless you go on record first. Torres stands. Paces his small living room. Studio apartment. Second-hand furniture. Photos of family on the wall. His academy graduation picture. His father shaking his hand. He imagined that moment so many times growing up. Didn't imagine this. His phone rings. Unknown number calling now instead of texting. He answers. Who is this? Someone who wants the same thing you do. A department worth believing in. Male voice. Older. Familiar, but Torres can't place it. How do you know what I want? Because you risked everything to send those emails. People who don't care don't take those risks. What do you want from me? I want you to finish what you started. Dr. Vaughn is holding a public forum at 9. He's going to expose Webb's operation. But he needs corroboration. He needs someone inside to verify the pattern. I can't do that. I'll be blacklisted. You're already blacklisted. Webb knows. Holloway knows. The only question now is whether you control the narrative or they do. Torres closes his eyes. Who are you? Sergeant Leon Pritchard. 26 years on the job. And I'm tired of watching good officers get destroyed for doing the right thing. Torres recognizes the name. Pritchard has a reputation. Old school but fair. Doesn't play politics. Doesn't back down. Why are you calling me? Because I was you once. Young. Idealistic. Thought I could change the system from inside. Learned the hard way that silence protects power. Speaking up disrupts it. Speaking up gets you fired. Maybe. But staying quiet gets you complicit. You have to decide which version of yourself you can live with. Torres sits back down. What happens if I show up at this forum? You tell the truth. On record. In front of witnesses. And whatever happens after, at least you didn't let them bury it. That's not exactly reassuring. It's not supposed to be reassuring. It's supposed to be honest. Silence stretches between them. Torres thinks about his father. 32 years on the force. Retired with full pension and a spotless record. Never questioned an order. Never filed a complaint. Never made waves. Safe. Respected. Invisible. What time does the forum start? Torres asks. 9 a.m. City Hall Plaza. Public access. Press will be there. Citizens will be there. You walk up to the microphone and you say what you know. And then we find out if reform is real or just another word for rearranging furniture on a sinking ship. Torres exhales. I'll think about it. Don't think too long. Webb moves fast when he feels threatened. Pritchard hangs up. Torres sets the phone down. His apartment feels smaller suddenly. Walls closing in. He walks to the window. Looks out at Red Haven stretching toward the horizon. Ordinary city. Ordinary people. Extraordinary problems hidden under ordinary routines. His phone buzzes again. This time it's his brother. Calling from Phoenix. Torres answers. Hey. You good? Marcus asks. Saw the video last night. That was your stop, wasn't it? Yeah. Holloway's an idiot. Yeah. You staying out of it? Torres doesn't answer right away. Marcus picks up on the silence. Jamal. Tell me you're staying out of it. I don't know if I can. Don't do this. Don't be the guy who thinks he's going to fix everything and ends up destroying his own career. What if the career isn't worth protecting? That's naive talk. You've got student loans. Rent. A future. Don't throw it away over one bad stop. It's not one bad stop. It's a pattern. Patterns exist everywhere. You can't fix the whole system. Maybe not. But I can stop pretending I don't see it. Marcus sighs. Dad's going to be disappointed. Dad retired before body cameras. Before viral videos. Before citizens could hold us accountable in real time. His version of the job doesn't exist anymore. So what? You're going to be a whistleblower? You know how that ends. How? Isolated. Unemployed. Marked. Nobody hires the guy who rats out his own department. And everybody trusts the guy who stays quiet while the system rots. Marcus goes quiet. You sound like Mom. Their mother was a civil rights attorney. Died when Torres was 16. Spent her career suing police departments for misconduct. Torres and Marcus grew up in a house divided. Cop father. Lawyer mother. Dinners were negotiations. Holidays were debates. Torres always thought he'd bridge that gap. Be the officer his mother would have been proud of, and the cop his father could respect. Turns out those things might be mutually exclusive. I gotta go, Torres says. Jamal. I'll call you later. He hangs up. 8:07 a.m. 53 minutes until the forum. Torres walks to his closet. Looks at his uniform hanging there. Pressed. Badge polished. Everything regulation. He pulls out civilian clothes instead. Jeans. Plain shirt. Nothing that identifies him as law enforcement. If he's going to do this, he's doing it as a citizen first. Officer second. He gets dressed. Grabs his keys. Walks out the door. The drive to City Hall takes 14 minutes. Traffic is light. Morning commuters already at their desks. Streets quiet. He parks 3 blocks away. Walks the rest of the distance. The plaza is filling up. News vans positioning cameras. Reporters doing mic checks. Citizens gathering near a temporary stage set up overnight. A podium stands center stage. Microphone waiting. Torres stays at the back of the crowd. Keeps his head down. Watches. Corinne Ashford appears from a side door of City Hall. She's carrying a tablet and talking to someone on her phone. She scans the crowd. Her eyes pass over Torres without recognition. Then Dr. Vaughn steps outside. The crowd notices. Murmurs ripple outward. He's wearing the same charcoal overcoat from last night. Deliberate choice. Visual callback. He walks to the podium without notes. Without security. Just him and a microphone. 8:43 a.m. 17 minutes early. The crowd presses closer. Vaughn taps the microphone. Feedback squeals. Someone adjusts the levels. "Good morning," he says. His voice carries across the plaza. Calm. Steady. No amplification needed for the first few rows, but the speakers project it to everyone else. "I'm Dr. Alaric Vaughn. As of 9 a.m. today, I'll officially serve as Red Haven's police commissioner. But titles don't matter as much as actions. So instead of giving you a speech, I'm going to give you transparency." He gestures to the crowd. "Anyone with questions, step up. No filters. No prepared answers. Just honesty. Silence." Nobody moves at first. Then an older woman near the front raises her hand. "Why should we trust you? You're not from here. You don't know this city." "You're right. I've been gone for 17 years. But I grew up 3 blocks from where we're standing. I went to Jefferson High. I worked at the hardware store on 5th Street. I know what this city was. And I know what it could be again." A man in a police union shirt speaks next. "You planning to fire everyone who doesn't agree with you?" "No. I'm planning to retrain everyone who's willing to learn and remove everyone who's committed documented misconduct. There's a difference." A younger woman steps forward. "College-aged. What about the officers who deleted complaint files? What happens to them?" Vaughn doesn't hesitate. "They face accountability. Criminal charges if evidence supports it. Termination if policies were violated. No exceptions." Murmurs spread through the crowd. A reporter raises her recorder. "Commissioner, how do you respond to allegations that you engineered last night's incident to gain public sympathy?" "I respond by pointing out that Officer Holloway initiated contact based on a dispatch call that didn't match my description, location, or behavior. If that's engineering, then every black man walking through this city is an architect." Some people laugh. Some look uncomfortable. Torres watches from the back. Vaughn is good. Doesn't dodge. Doesn't deflect. Meets every question directly. Another voice. Male. Aggressive. "You think throwing money at body cameras and training is going to fix anything? Cops need support, not oversight." "Cops need both," Vaughn says. "Support means resources, mental health services, proper equipment, and backup when situations escalate. Oversight means accountability when those resources are misused. They're not opposing forces. They're complementary." 8:51 a.m. A black SUV pulls up to the curb. Training Captain Marcus Webb steps out. He's 54. Built solid. Gray hair cut military short. He wears his uniform like armor. He walks through the crowd. People part for him. He stops 10 feet from the stage. Arms crossed. Vaughn sees him. Doesn't react. Webb speaks loud enough for everyone to hear. "Commissioner, you've made some serious accusations this morning. I assume you have evidence to back them up." "I do." "Then I'd like to see it. Publicly. Right now." Vaughn nods to Corinne. She steps forward with her tablet. Projects an image onto a screen behind the podium. Deletion logs. Timestamps. File names. User ID clearly visible. M.Web. The crowd goes silent. Webb's expression doesn't change. "Those logs prove nothing. Anyone with access could have used my credentials." "True," Vaughn says. "Which is why I also have testimony from multiple officers documenting your pattern of dismissing complaints, coaching officers on narrative management, and intimidating witnesses." Hearsay. Sworn statements. Notarized. Filed this morning. Webb steps closer. "You've been commissioner for 8 minutes, and you're already conducting witch hunts. That tells me everything I need to know about your leadership." And you've been training captain for 4 years and 63 complaints disappeared under your watch. That tells me everything I need to know about yours. The crowd erupts. Some applauding. Some shouting. Cameras flashing. Webb points at Vaughn. You just made a very serious mistake. No. You made 63 serious mistakes. I'm just the first person willing to count them. Webb turns to leave. Stops. Looks back. This city will eat you alive. This city hired me to clean house. I'm just getting started. Webb walks away. The SUV pulls back to the curb. He climbs in. Drives off. Torres realizes he's holding his breath. Vaughn returns to the microphone. Anyone else? A man near the middle raises his hand. What happens to Officer Holloway? Officer Holloway will undergo mandatory retraining, public accountability sessions, and reassignment pending review. He's not fired. He's being given an opportunity to prove reform works. What if he refuses? Then he resigns or gets terminated. His choice. 9:04 a.m. Someone else steps forward. Torres recognizes the uniform. Officer Cassandra Reyes. 7 years on the force. Solid reputation. She walks to the microphone set up for public comments. Commissioner, I appreciate what you're trying to do, but you need to understand something. The officers Webb protected aren't just random bad actors. They're connected. City council members, business owners, people with power. I understand. Do you? Because threatening those connections means threatening funding, contracts, political support. You might win the moral argument and still lose the city. Vaughn considers that. Officer Reyes, I spent 20 years building a company from nothing. I learned that sustainable success requires integrity. You can't build trust on lies. You can't maintain safety through fear. And you can't reform a system by protecting the people who broke it. Reyes nods slowly, steps back. Torres feels something shift inside him. He pushes through the crowd, walks toward the public microphone. People notice, recognize him from the video. Whispers spread. That's Torres. From last night. The young cop. Torres reaches the microphone. His hands shake slightly. He grips the stand to steady them. Commissioner Vaughn, he says. His voice cracks. He clears his throat. Tries again. I'm Officer Jamal Torres. I was there last night. And I want to say, I should have done more. Vaughn looks at him. No judgment. Just attention. I saw the stop was wrong. I saw Holloway escalate. I tried to suggest verification, but I didn't push hard enough. I prioritized chain of command over doing what was right. And I'm sorry. The plaza goes quiet. Torres continues. I've also been the person sending you information. About Webb. About the deleted files. I did it anonymously because I was afraid. But Officer Reyes is right. Being afraid doesn't change anything. So I'm here. On record. Whatever happens, at least I said it out loud. Silence. Then someone starts clapping. Slowly at first. Then others join. Vaughn steps down from the stage. Walks to Torres. Extends his hand. Torres shakes it. Thank you, Vaughn says quietly. That took courage. Or stupidity. Sometimes they're the same thing. Cameras flash. Reporters shout questions. Vaughn turns back to the crowd. This is what reform looks like. Not perfect people making perfect choices, but imperfect people choosing honesty over convenience. Officer Torres just demonstrated more integrity in 2 minutes than some people show in entire careers. He checks his watch. I'm officially on the clock now. So here's what happens next. Every use of force incident from the past 4 years gets re-reviewed by an independent civilian board. Every officer undergoes mandatory bias and de-escalation training. Every complaint gets tracked with public transparency. And anyone who obstructs these reforms answers to federal oversight. A reporter yells, "What about the union's vote of no confidence?" They're welcome to vote. But votes don't override contracts. And my contract gives me 90 days of unilateral authority. I intend to use every one of them. 9:17 a.m. Torres's phone buzzes. Text from Holloway. You just ended your career. Another text. Unknown number. You just saved it. Meet me at the coffee shop on 9th. 2 p.m. We have work to do. The sender is Pritchard. Torres looks up at Vaughn on the stage, fielding more questions. Calm. controlled, unshakable. Maybe reform is possible. Or maybe they're all about to find out how deep the rot really goes. What will happen when Webb's powerful connections push back? The conference room phone rings at 9:41 a.m. Mayor Cartwright answers on speaker. This is the mayor. A voice crackles through. Deep. Measured. The kind of voice that doesn't need to raise volume to communicate threat. Mayor, this is Councilman Gerald Hastings. I'm calling on behalf of several concerned citizens and business leaders. Alaric sits across from the mayor's desk. Corinne stands near the window. They both go still. Hastings continues. We've been watching this morning's forum. Quite the spectacle. It was transparency, Diane says. Not spectacle. Semantics. Either way, you've created a problem. Dr. Vaughn accused a decorated training captain of criminal activity without due process. That's defamation. Possibly slander. That's documented evidence presented in a public forum. Corinne interjects. Protected speech. Deputy Mayor Ashford. Always a pleasure. Hastings doesn't sound pleased. Here's the situation. Captain Webb has retained legal counsel. They're preparing injunctions blocking Dr. Vaughn's access to personnel files and complaint records. They're also filing a lawsuit against the city for wrongful termination anticipation. He hasn't been terminated, Alaric says. Not yet. But your public statements created a hostile work environment that constructively discharged him. That's the argument. Alaric leans forward. Councilman Hastings, let me be clear. I presented deletion logs showing 63 complaint files disappeared under Webb's user credentials. I have sworn testimony from multiple officers documenting intimidation and misconduct. If Webb wants to argue those facts in court, I welcome it. Discovery will be very educational. Silence on the other end. Then Hastings laughs. Not warmly. You're bold. I'll give you that. But boldness without political capital is just noise. And right now, you're making a lot of noise that's upsetting people who write campaign checks. I wasn't hired to protect campaign donors. No, you were hired to modernize systems, which you could do quietly, efficiently, without turning this into a media circus. Instead, you held a public lynching. I held a public forum where citizens asked questions and I answered honestly. If that feels like a lynching to you, maybe examine why truth feels threatening. Hastings' tone sharpens. Dr. Vaughn, you don't seem to understand how this city works. Webb has connections, city contracts, development deals, people who depend on his goodwill. Then those people should have ensured he operated within legal and ethical boundaries. Idealism is charming. Reality is expensive. Webb's attorney is alleging that you've been planning this takedown since before you accepted the commissioner position, that you engineered last night's incident to manufacture justification for wholesale terminations. Corinne steps closer to the speakerphone. That's absurd. Officer Holloway initiated contact based on a dispatch call. Dr. Vaughn was a civilian pedestrian. A civilian pedestrian who just happened to be carrying documentation showing his new role, who just happened to walk through a high-visibility area, who just happened to have Deputy Mayor Ashford arrive within minutes. Because I was monitoring the live stream like 40,000 other people, Corinne snaps. Convenient. Alaric stands, walks to the window, looks down at the plaza. The crowd has thinned, but reporters remain, setting up for follow-up segments. Councilman Hastings, he says without turning around. Are you threatening to block my reforms? I'm informing you that 6 council members are prepared to call an emergency session. They'll vote to suspend your unilateral authority pending a full investigation into your conduct and qualifications. On what grounds? Overreach, reckless endangerment of city liability, potential collusion with anti-police activists. Now Alaric turns. Anti-police activists. You mean citizens who want accountability. I mean outside agitators who showed up to this morning's forum with professionally printed signs and coordinated chants. Someone organized that. Someone funded it. Maybe someone believes in reform. Or maybe someone wants to destabilize this department for political gain. Either way, the council will vote. And unless you can guarantee you won't cost this city millions in lawsuits, you'll lose. The line goes dead. Diane sets the phone down slowly. He's not bluffing. Hastings chairs the budget committee. If he pulls funding, your entire reform initiative collapses. Then we make sure he can't pull funding. How? By proving reform saves money, not costs it. Corinne pulls up a spreadsheet on her tablet. Last year's excessive force settlements totaled $1.2 million. The 3 years before that averaged $800,000 annually. That's $4 million in payouts over 4 years. How much would comprehensive training cost? Alaric asks. Initial rollout, maybe $300,000. Annual maintenance, another $100,000. So we're spending $400,000 to prevent $4 million in liability. That's a 90% reduction in exposure. Diane shakes her head. The math works. But Hastings doesn't care about math. He cares about power. And you just challenged someone who bankrolls his campaigns. Who is Webb connected to beyond Hastings? Corinne scrolls through her tablet. Webb's brother-in-law owns Redcrest Development. They've won every major city construction contract for the past 6 years. New municipal building, library renovation, the community center project. How much are those contracts worth? Combined? $67 million. Alaric processes that. And if Webb goes down, those contracts get scrutinized. Exactly. Because bid processes require character references from city employees. Webb provided those references. If he's compromised, the contracts are tainted. Which means Redcrest loses millions and Hastings loses his biggest donor. Diane stands. This isn't just about police reform anymore. You're threatening an entire patronage network. Good. Patronage networks are corruption by another name. They're also how cities function in reality. You can't dismantle every connection without collateral damage. I'm not trying to dismantle connections. I'm trying to ensure they operate within legal frameworks. A knock at the door. Diane's assistant enters. Mayor, you have a call on line 3. It's the governor's office. Everyone exchanges looks. Diane picks up. This is Mayor Cartwright. She listens. Her expression shifts from concern to alarm. I understand. Yes. No, that's not. I see. She hangs up. Sits down heavily. The governor's chief of staff just informed me that the state attorney general is opening a preliminary inquiry into Red Haven's police department. They're citing this morning's allegations as probable cause. Corinne's eyes widen. That's federal-level oversight. Worse, it's state-level oversight with federal implications. If the AG finds systemic constitutional violations, we could end up under a consent decree. What's a consent decree? Alaric asks. Federal supervision. The DOJ takes over department operations, sets mandatory reforms, monitors compliance. Cities stay under consent decrees for years, sometimes decades, and they cost tens of millions to implement. Alaric sits back down. So we either reform voluntarily or get forced into reform that's 10 times more expensive and removes all local control. Exactly. Then we move faster. Implement everything before the AG finishes their inquiry. Show measurable progress. Prove we're capable of self-correction. Diane looks at him. You understand what you're asking. 90 days isn't enough time to overhaul an entire department culture. It's enough time to start. And starting is what prevents federal intervention. Corinne's phone buzzes. She reads the message. Torres just sent me something. Body camera footage from 3 incidents in 2021. All involving Webb's trainees. All showing excessive force. All dismissed by the review board. Where did he get that footage? Evidence locker. He has custodian access from when he worked records division last year. Alaric stands. Send it to the AG's office. That's throwing gasoline on a fire. That's providing evidence of systemic problems that require systematic solutions. If we're proactive, we control the narrative. If we're defensive, the state controls us. Diane's phone rings again. She looks at the caller ID. Closes her eyes briefly. It's Police Chief Booker. He's probably heard about the AG inquiry. She answers. Listens. Her jaw tightens. He did what? More listening. When? How many officers? Jesus Christ. She hangs up. Looks at Alaric. Webb just held an impromptu assembly at the station. told officers that you're planning mass terminations, that the AG inquiry is a witch hunt, that anyone who cooperates with your investigation will be marked as a traitor. That's witness intimidation. That's also effective. Half the department is now refusing to participate in your training sessions. They can refuse all they want. Participation is mandatory. Refusal means suspension without pay. You suspend half the department, and this city has no police coverage. Then we bring in state troopers temporarily. Or we fast-track academy graduates. Or we operate with reduced staffing until people realize I'm serious. Diane stands, walks to the window, stares out at the city. You're willing to burn everything down to rebuild it. I'm willing to expose rot so new growth is possible. That's not the same thing. Tell that to the officers who lose their jobs, the citizens who wait longer for emergency response, the families who suffer because you prioritized ideology over practicality. Alaric joins her at the window. Mayor, last night I was forced to the ground in front of cameras because an officer made assumptions based on my appearance. This morning, a training captain who systematically buried complaints told his subordinates to obstruct justice. Tomorrow, if we don't act, another officer will make another assumption and another citizen will pay the price. So yes, I'm willing to accept short-term pain for long-term accountability. Because the alternative is permanent dysfunction. Silence settles between them. Corinne breaks it. The council vote is scheduled for tonight, 7 p.m. We have 9 hours to change 6 minds. How do we do that? We give them something they care about more than Webb's connections. We give them public pressure. Alaric turns. What are you thinking? Torres isn't the only officer who's seen misconduct. He's just the only one who spoke up publicly. But there are others. Dozens probably. We find them. We get them to submit statements. We flood the council with evidence that reform isn't optional anymore. They'll be risking their careers. So was Torres. He did it anyway. Diane returns to her desk, pulls up a contact list. I know 3 council members who are genuinely undecided.